Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the broadcast. Well, there is a lot going on with our United States economy, stuff that the mainstream media is, like they always do, purposely keeping from us. They didn't warn us about the crisis that hit back in 2008, the housing crisis, and I don't think they're going to tell us anything about the coming crisis. That's why I am bringing on somebody who knows the inside workings on the economy. But just to give you a little idea of what's going on, take a look at some of these articles here. The first one here is on Washington Post. Social Security funding crisis will arrive in 2023, U.S. projects. Then we also have Market Business Insider. Credit crunch fears are taking hold, fueling concerns of crippling U.S. recession. And investors are worried about this, by the way. And then, of course, we know this. We all feel the blunder of it. 80% of American households are in a worse financial position now than they were before the COVID-19 pandemic. And then, of course, millions of Americans have received a pay cut since Biden took office. I got the word. But here's the thing about all of that. We are getting in a crazy cycle with this Biden economics that is killing our country. So with that, I wanted to bring on my economic insider at Noble Gold Investments, and that is Colin Plume. Are you with me over there?
Yes, and I feel like every time we do this, Lisa, gold and silver go up, which is always nice. So we have a nice push today in the metals, and gold broke through 2,000 again, and silver's up about 2% as of this recording. So it's telling that we're seeing gold get pretty close to that all-time high again. Silver's still well below its all-time high. But everything that's going on out there, you're seeing, the commodities obviously perform very well in this kind of environment.
I agree. And that's the thing. We have literally all these issues. I mean, they're literally talking about Social Security having a big impact in 2023 for a lot of people, to put it bluntly. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of everything we're seeing. And this is why I purposefully have had you guys as a sponsor of mine for years, because you can hedge, people can hedge their bets with you. They can get in a safe position financially, because the question isn't, whether or not it's coming. It's already here in a lot of ways, shapes, and forms, but I do believe it's going to get worse. Do you think what some of the articles that I just shared are kind of just the tip of the iceberg? Do you think it's going to get worse?
Yeah, I mean, first let's talk about Social Security. There's been numbers of reports that it will not be fully funded by 2033. So, 10 years from now, they say they're going to be anywhere from 70% funding, somewhere in that range. So they're going to have to make some type of shift in how they're doing it, either increasing the age when people can get access to their fund, or potentially reducing the benefit. The benefit over the last 2 to 3 years actually went up for a lot of people that are receiving it because inflation was so high. It actually went up the highest amount, which is part of the reason they're in this hole, because they have to keep up these payments with inflation. And a lot of people are, in a position where they live on that income. So 2033 is sort of the number that they're looking for us to not have the total funding of Social Security, which is quite scary if you think about it. If someone's been paying in for 30, 40 years and they can't rely on the amount of money that they were sort of guaranteed, right? I mean, it's not like we had an option to put the money in. They force you to put the money in. So they're talking about increasing the age, reducing the benefit. They're going to have to find some way. They've also talked about maybe investing some of that money out. But if they invested in the market, like let's say over the last 2 years in the stock market, it hasn't done very well. So they could actually be in a bad position if they invested in the market. So yeah, it is quite concerning. The one thing that I've been talking to you about and everyone about all year, is I strongly believe that interest rates were going to go down next year. And we had the first pause by the Fed. They had one other pause, earlier this year, but we had a pretty legitimate pause in the last Fed meeting. We'll see what happens in December, but I think there's some expectations now that they could even potentially lower rates and open up the money supply. And it's the thing that I've always believed is going to happen, because next year's an election year. They want to move the economy or have the perception of the economy doing better. The best way for them to do that would be to lower rates and open up the money supply, and start maybe doing a quantitative easing again, which would, free money up out in the economy, which would obviously help the real estate market, no doubt. I mean, everybody's looking around going, who's going to buy these houses? Who can afford these rates? So I do think that we're going to see a little bit of pause, and they're going to open up rates a bit here. And that will also be great news for gold, because anytime they open up the money supply and they devalue the dollar, that's great for gold. The last time we did quantitative easing in 2009 and 2012, gold went up over 20% per year for 3 years in a row. Silver went up even more than that. So I think we're starting to see that. So we really got to watch the Fed. That could be very telling for the economy. If they pull down rates next year, we could see things really open up, and I can see the gold prices really skyrocket.
And so, for the listeners out there, I mean, he has been right, since the very beginning when we started coordinating, I believe 2015, maybe even whenever you first started. It was at least 7 years, I believe, ago. But you've been right from the beginning. And that's why I want to encourage you guys. You really want to listen to what he's saying, because, you don't want to buy gold when it's the best that it's going to be. You want to get it before it gets there, right, Colin? And
yeah.
And that's kind of the idea.
Yeah, and the idea too is that we're in a debt world, right? I mean, that's really the thing that everybody's talking about, and then changing how our currency is, and going away from the dollar and the digital dollar and all that stuff. But the great thing about buying physical gold and silver, there's no debt behind these instruments. When you buy gold and silver with us, you are actually owning the entire thing. Which is a big reason why I always tell people there's a big difference between the ETF and gold and actually buying the real thing. In an ETF, you're just buying a share of a company that has some gold or has some silver, but you don't own the whole thing. The way that you buy from Noble Gold is you're in charge, you own the entire thing. And I think that what we're seeing right now happening, and it's an interesting time at the end of the year. The end of the year for us gets really busy. The first quarter next year, as people start to do their required mandatory distributions. So when you have an IRA, you have to take a certain amount out each year. Once you hit a certain age, the government requires you. If it's a traditional IRA, it's about 70 years old. So we're seeing a lot of people do that. So they're taking, they need to take out a few $1,000s a year and pay taxes. But the interesting thing is, this year, more than ever, we've seen people not take it in cash. So basically, if they bought gold from us and we're storing it in the IRA, they can actually take their distribution in the real gold. They're taking it. And that's what's happening this year. People are deciding, I'd rather not be in the dollar. Don't send me cash. Send me, the silver that I bought, or send me this bar. They actually want the physical thing, because they obviously believe that if they don't need the money right away, these items are going to appreciate a lot next year. So basically what they're doing is they're taking out of the IRA, paying the tax, and they're going to hold on to these investment vehicles that they have in their hands for longer, maybe a year or 2 or 5 years. Because if they don't need the money, what's the option? Then you just put the money in the bank and you hope for the best. But I think what's going to end up happening next year is that they open up the money supply a little bit. Rates will drop. I don't think we're going to see this 5% in the bank for much longer. I think that's going to end next year. And then I think we'll see the money supply open up, and I think you'll see gold and silver start to take off. But that being said, there's still some markets that will still be in trouble. Regardless of what happens with the money supply, the office real estate market is still going to have a lot of problems. Regardless of what they do with interest rates, they're still going to have an issue. There's still a lot of vacancy. It's going to have a lot of problems. This year alone, I mean, the debt that we're seeing, all these loans out there in office buildings, they're not getting repaid the way that they have in the past. They just can't. And the banks, what are they going to do? They don't have any recourse, because they don't want to take over all these buildings that are half vacant or more. So we're in a precarious. So residential will be helped very much next year with rates going down, I believe. Apartment buildings will be helped. But office is still going to be in trouble, and it's going to be a very big problem for a lot of states, a lot of cities that rely on that tax income from those high-rise buildings that they're not going to be able to get. They're not going to be able to get that tax income, and they need it. A lot of these states absolutely need it. So it's going to be an interesting time, but I think things are going to open up a little bit next year. I think the Feds, they gave themselves the ability to raise rates, but my gut is that they're just hedging their bet, and I think rates are going to start to slip down a little bit.
Yeah, and that's why I want to encourage you guys. Now is the time to get your hands on that tangible gold, silver, and all of that, because you don't want to take any risk. We already have the Biden administration. He's passed an executive order. And I think we talked about this, Colin, on CBDCs and how he wants banks and whatnot to prepare for that. And the way that the economy is going, when you take, what's going on in Israel, what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, this is really, it's not necessarily a stable ground. So especially when what we talked about in the beginning, our Social Security ending. And so we want to make sure, and I can't stress this enough with you guys, and it is so important to have something you can fall back on other than the dollar. And so if you guys, by the way, I've been flashing the number on and off on the screen, but give them a call if you want to talk to them. They don't hassle you at all. They're just like, hey, you want to talk? You're good. I know I've talked to plenty of them. But just talk to them, find out, let them know you heard it on Lisa Haven, by the way, or go to lisahavengold.com and they'll send you that gold investment guide for free. But either way, what do you think, I guess, Colin, is the one thing that prevents or what is the one thing that Americans lack, in protecting themselves in these kinds of situations? What would you say that is?
Well, usually it just comes down to financial education, because we don't get a traditional financial education in this country. Like if you look at, obviously everyone's looking at what's happening with the universities and these incredible protests, and these people are aligning themselves with Osama bin Laden and all these crazy things that are happening. If you see, and I feel bad for these, I have young kids, so I'm not there yet, but if I was spending $40, $50, $60, $70,000 a year, and I saw what's happening with kids in college today, and what they're projecting out there, and just their total confusion and what's really happening in the world, they don't really learn about the important things. And the important things right now is really looking at, how do you balance your budget? How do you balance your personal budget? What am I investing into? Because I think kids today really need to learn that the college experience right now is an experience that it could be for fun. It could be an experience to go to another state. It could be some of those things. But getting back that $250,000 that you may invest to go to college is not going to be as easy as a shot as it used to be. They used to be able to make that argument that, you invest that money and you're going to make 3 times as much as everybody else. But I don't think people are going to be able to make that argument today, unless you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor or some of these high level education positions. So I think the education is really, so it's got to just start at home, and really people focus on what's going to get you the best return on your money, and looking at and yes, sometimes you open a business, you take a chance there. There's risk reward in those situations, but I think the education of looking at alternative investments, looking at different things that are happening, they're looking to start your own business, create more income. The gig economy is real, and there's tons of way to make money. So I think it's just not looking at the traditional ways anymore and trying to find some alternatives. And that's, on the investment side, that's what we do at Noble Gold, is giving you an alternative investment to protect yourself against, this Social Security situation, what's happening with equities, because the equity markets have not performed well over the last 2 to 3 years. I think you have to look at some alternatives right now and not just take the normal path that people have been taking for the last 20, 30 years.
Now, in conclusion, and I guess it's a direct question, and I know finances is always a thing as well for people, but what is the risk that people are taking, say, if they don't protect their investment at all, or have any kind of protection in this kind of economy, especially when Democrats are in charge? I know I say that a lot, but we still have to get prepared no matter what. What are people risking?
Yeah, I think diversification is really the key. If you're not diversified in other assets, it can really hurt you, and it shows right now. Listen, if you had, let's say, and I have a lot of friends that are in real estate, and I own real estate too, but if I had all my money and everything I was doing in real estate over the last year or two, I would be in a bad situation because real estate has not performed well. A lot of traditional real estate's not doing well. Gold has performed very well. It's done really, so it's in a good situation because there's a lot of debt and we're overspending. The equity markets haven't done so well, but maybe you have an in on a stock that you think is going to do well, so you invest and you do things there. But I think overall, the traditional idea of just laying back, hiring a financial advisor, or just letting somebody else do the work for you, those days are gone. And so you have to do your own due diligence. And that's why, Lisa, I think we've been great partners, is that people call us, they learn about what we do. You talk to a friendly person, you're going to learn about precious metals, which may be something for you or may not, depending on what situation you're in or where you are in your life. But at the end of the day, the good thing with us in Noble Gold is that if you're buying gold and then in 3, 4, or 5 years you want to get out of it, these are liquid assets. You're not stuck in anything. Whereas some of the other investments like real estate right now, nobody can really sell their real estate unless they want to take a 30 or 40% hit. So it's not a great position to be in if you need cash. These assets are liquid. You can get access to them anytime. We buy it back from clients every day. So I think it just depends on where you're at in life, what's important to you. Safety, are you looking for huge gains, 40, 50% gains? You might be looking in a different direction. But as you said, if people are looking for safety, security, I do think gold and silver offer that. And also platinum right now I think is a good buy. I have a 1 ounce platinum bar here. All those Ford F-150s they're building, those lightning Ford F-150s that everyone's, and actually I just saw one at the LA Auto Show. Beautiful truck. Fantastic. And I have a friend that has one. He says it's the fastest truck he's ever driven. They're putting a lot of platinum in there. So I do think platinum could be a good buy. But overall, just getting education, Lisa, I think is the key in being diversified.
Well, we just bought a Chevy. You can't say the F word on here.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
I like those too.
What was the old saying? Not to like bash any Ford people. I think we used to say in Texas, "Found on road dead." But I love Ford. Just saying, I did own a Ford prior.
Yeah, they're fast.
They're good cars. They're good trucks.
It's a good truck. Yeah, exactly. So
especially if they've got, those kinds of electronic parts that you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
But with that, I guess kind of in a conclusion and concluding thought, when I look what's going on a worldwide scale, right? Like over in Argentina, I know Tucker Carlson did an interview with Javier Milei, who just won over there. Thankfully, I am so excited about that. We've got a libertarian there. But the reason he won is because the economy went to crap real fast. Yeah. And their, I think it was the peso that they have there, it massively just exploded and got to horrible, atrocious numbers. You're talking about a whole brick that you're going to use to buy something small in a grocery store. And so that could happen in the United States.
Yeah, wheelbarrow inflation. Yeah, and it happened in Germany. Obviously, it happened in Argentina. Zimbabwe had the craziest. They had these $1 trillion notes that were worth like $1. So yeah, that can definitely happen. And that's the beauty behind these items. This gold. I always talk about gold. 100 years ago, gold would buy a lot. The value of a $20 gold piece bought a lot 100 years ago. It still buys a lot today, and it's still kept up. So these are the kind of assets, because they have a limited supply, because gold's being used in so many industrial areas. It's not just in central banks. They really use gold in a lot of industries. It's a good metal for a lot of industries out there. The list goes on and on. And in our guides, we talk about this stuff. And then the one thing I would tell people, if they get in now so they can get some information, get on our email list. We're going to be releasing a new book about silver. Silver is the New Oil is going to be the book that's coming out. Talk about all the industrial uses, everything's happening with silver, and the massive shortage that we're anticipating for silver over the next few years. So that book's going to be coming out in the next few weeks. So come in, get some information from us so we can get you in the email list so we can send you out that free information. But yeah, we're working here. We're going to be off a little bit for the holidays, but I'm sure we're going to have a big run. We have the Republican National Convention happening. There's a lot happening in December, so we'll be around at Noble Gold. So anyone's looking to get in and get some information and talk to us, just give us a call. We're happy to help.
Awesome. And now they can get on the email list on lisahavengold.com,
Correct.
right, if they do
Correct.
that. So all you guys got to do, and you'll be automatically enrolled in that, but fill in this information, put your email, your phone number, click get it now, and they're actually going to send this ultimate gold and silver investment guide to you. So you have that just as an added bonus. And by the way, you are right now giving away this 5-ounce America the Beautiful coin, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, any approved IRA will be receiving that coin, which is, I also have it right here. It's my favorite U.S. minted coin, and it's my favorite U.S. minted coin because they have a national park or some location in the U.S. on the back of all of these, and they only make between 30 and 40,000 of these. So it is a limited edition silver coin. So it's nice to have. It's great for the collection. I highly recommend this coin. So yeah, anyone that's looking to get information this month will get that free coin if they actually do a purchase with us. And lots of good information, lots of good tidbits. So happy to give out free information and get people educated. So I think the big thing, Lisa, is this, obviously what your show does, is educating people on maybe some information that's not readily available out there. That's what we're going to provide in the precious metal space with our email information.
Awesome. Well, check it out at lisahavengold.com or 1-877-646-5347. Let them know you heard it on our channel so you guys can take advantage of that as well. And by the way, Black Friday is around the corner. Christmas is around the corner. So a good thing to get, and I do this actually for relatives, is get them gold, silver, precious metals. You can actually get that and purchase tangible gold, silver, and precious metals from Colin, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. And listen, everybody likes to buy friends and family gifts and things, but it's also nice to buy them something that actually is going to go up in value, not all the tchotchkes and all the stuff. And if you don't know what to get somebody, a grandson or a grandkid, as opposed to getting them something that they're going to break in 5 seconds, like my kids, get them some gold and silver they can put away. There's a thing I always talk about, like gold, like a gold kilo bar. Gold kilo bar is worth 60,000, give or take. A kilo today is a college education in 15 years for somebody. That's where gold's going. So these assets are going to go up over time. They're going to be great for grandkids and kids. So if you don't know what to get them, you want to get them something valuable. I think gold and silver is a great option.
Oh, that's a good idea. I love that. Get like a start it for your kids, and then you have that college fund. That's good. I wish I thought about that back then.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's nice. I mean, think about it. You buy them, some 1-ounce gold coins, and over time, now your kids, 10 years old could be worth $5,000 or $10,000. They're gonna start life with a net worth before they've even gotten out in the world. So that's pretty exciting.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Colin. It's always good to have you back. And again, all that information can be found in the description box below. If you're here on YouTube on your computer, go there. Or if you're on the telephone, there's a little more button. Click that more button, and the information is in the description box for lisahavengold.com. Or just call them and talk to them directly and just let them know you heard it on Lisa Haven. Anyhow, thank you guys so much for being here. You all mean the world to me. And I hope you guys have a very amazing and blessed holiday weekend. I love you all. I'm Lisa Haven signing out, and that was Colin Plume.